What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave, and we're back to talking about everybody's favorite thing, deck techs. We're going to be talking about a deck today that I think is going to be a fantastic deck to play going into rotation, especially if you're a new player. There's only 3 cards in this deck that are rotating out, and you could hypothetically sub out one of them, the most expensive one. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get there. You don't have to worry about it. And then the card that you'd be subbing her out with rotates out, and it's like a 25-cent card, so it doesn't matter. I think there's going to be great new additions to this deck. I think the deck's going to be in a really great place. We did find out that the Captain Hook that recurs Fire the Cannons from the bin is potentially getting a reprint, so Fire the Cannons is likely to get a reprint, and that is going to definitely be something that can combat aggro pretty well, but I think this aggro deck is still going to be one of your best options going into the new set. But before we talk more about that, as always, I gotta give a big shout out to the Patreons for making the giveaways on the channel possible. We just had a great booster box giveaway, and we'll have another giveaway coming at you down the road, so if you haven't subscribed, now is a great time to do so. We will always be doing giveaways on the channel, and if you want to support those giveaways further, definitely check out the Patreon. You can subscribe for as low as 99 cents a month and get a free giveaway entry without even having a comment every single time we do a giveaway. But without any further ado, let's talk about my update to the infamous CHERNADOG. So we'll rip this band-aid off right now. Probably one of the biggest differences with this deck is we're not playing CHERNADOG, so you can't really call it CHERNADOG anymore. It's more of like a Lady and the Tramp type of thing. But in the 1-cost slot, we have Lady Decisive Dog, a great new addition that we got in set 8, a 1-cost inkable 0/3 stat line questing for 1. Whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 strength, so if you're flooding out some characters, you can get her boosted up with a solid attack in the early game. Not to mention Tramp can kind of double up on that with her, which is an interesting combination. And while this character has 3 strength or more, she gets +2 lore, so you could potentially be boosting her strength just so that she can go ahead and quest for 3. Really made that 1-cost uninkable Lady look almost unplayable in comparison, especially when this color combination is a color combo where you want to be able to have inkable cards because the uninkable slots are so important. Of course, the other Lady is single color, that one's dual color, but that's neither here nor there. The next card in the 1-cost slot is going to be Daisy Duck Donald's Date, a 1-cost inkable 1/4 stat line questing for 2. With whenever this character quests, each opponent reveals the top card of their deck. If it is a character card, they can put it into their hand, and if it isn't, it is going to go to the bottom of their deck. And she is going to just be an absolute menace in the early game. That 4 willpower also makes her a great target for healing. Next up, a card I still think is really good is for the same reason that I was just talking about with Daisy Duck, which is the willpower, the stat line on it specifically, and that is going to be Nala Mischievous Cub, a 1-cost inkable 0/4 stat line questing for 1. Just a really sticky body, potentially going to get a couple quests in, and can potentially be a target for boosting up to deal some damage. Next up, still in the 1-cost slot, we have 4 Fred Mascot by Day, a card I love, a card that I've been a proponent of pretty much since it came out, and it is a 1-cost inkable 1/1 stat line questing for 1. Well, whenever this character is challenged, gain 2 lore, so if your opponent decides to challenge into it, boom, you're going to be able to get some lore, and there is a way to give a character Reckless in this deck, so maybe you could take advantage of that with Fred. Speaking of giving characters Reckless for those challenge triggers, we are on 4 Curse Merfolk Ursula's Handiwork, a card I correctly predicted would be getting reprinted 2 weeks before it was ever announced. Not only is it getting reprinted, but it is going to be one of the League promos this set, so you'll be able to get a nice foil treatment of them. I do have the old original foils, so I've loved this card since it was new, and it is a 1-cost uninkable 0/1 stat line questing for 2. When it gets challenged, your opponent is going to have to discard a card, which is really super good. Next up, a new addition to the deck from set 8, a card I think is absolutely fabulous, which is Jim Deere Beloved Husband, a 2-cost inkable 0/4 stat line questing for 1 with Bodyguard. Great way to protect all those little squishies from things like rhinos and mim foxes and those other big bads that are running the meta right now. Another great 2-cost card and a great option for discarding yourself if you have to is Lilo Escape Artist, a 2-cost inkable 1/2 stat line questing for 2 with at the start of your turn, if this card is in your discard, you may play her and she enters play exerted. She's going to be at risk of being challenged into, obviously, but if you're not looking to use the ink on anything else, you have a lot of low-cost cards in this deck. You've inked plenty that you could recur her and play pretty much anything that you're going to draw off the top of your deck. There's no real reason not to get Lilo back from your bin and force your opponent to at least slow down when it comes to questing and challenge into your Lilo instead. Unless there's like a Maui Shark looming, there's really not any reason not to bring back Leela. So in the 2-cost slot, we have our 2-cost Tramp Enterprising Dog, a card I think is absolutely fantastic. Even if you're not playing a lady, he is a 2-cost inkable 1/3 stat line, questing for 1. With if you have a character named Lady in play, you can play him for 1 less. So keep that. He's going to come down for 1, which is crazy because his other ability is nuts. Which is when you play this character, chosen character of yours gets +1 strength this turn for each other character you have in play. So like I mentioned, you go like turn 1, 0/3 Lady, then another guy, then you play a Tramp for free. Not only is Lady getting that +2 strength from Tramp and the other character coming down, but it's potentially getting another +2 strength from Tramp. So you could realistically on turn 2 with that Lady be challenging for 5, which is crazy. Could actually challenge and defeat a Rhino. Next up, last card in the 2-cost slot, we have 4 Ursula Deceiver, another card that I predicted will get a reprint. I could be wrong, but I think this is a card that's been incredibly popular. I think it's a card that is really important to how the meta and how the game functions overall, and reprinting it makes a lot of sense. It is a 2-cost inkable 1/3 stat line, questing for 1. When you play this character, you get to look at your opponent's hand, fantastic in and of itself. You get to force them to discard a song card of your choosing. Obviously, if they don't have a song card, you don't get to make them discard anything, but song cards are pretty prevalent when it comes to Lorcana, since they're essentially actions that you can play for free. So Ursula Deceiver generally does find a target, especially if it's early in the game. Your opponent still has a lot of cards in their hand. It's great against Steel Song, and it's great against that Rhino matchup. I do think this card will get reprinted, but you know, I've been wrong before. I also said I thought that Storm JON would get reprinted over Strength, and it turns out it's going to be Strength and not Storm. I mean, maybe we'll still see Storm get reprinted too. I think that'd be a little crazy. But we're definitely getting Strength back. Jumping over to the 3-cost slot, we have 3 Louis Endearing Alligator, a 3-cost inkable 4/3 stat line, questing for 1. Enters play Exerted, which may seem like a negative, but when you look at its next ability, especially if you're trying to take out one of your opponent's characters and you have a favorable opportunity to do so, when you play this character, chosen opposing character gains Reckless during their next turn. So you can put him in a position where Louis is the only thing they can attack, or even if you have like Freds and Cursed Merfolks down, you put down Louis and you say, hey, you know, challenge into my Fred, challenge into my Cursed Merfolk, challenge into my Louis. You want to get your character banished, you want to discard a card, you want to let me gain some additional lore. You're giving them all bad options in terms of challenging, which makes Louis really fun and really interesting with this deck. Our other card in the 3-cost slot, we have 4 Lady Family Dog. I'm sure you probably saw this coming. She is a 3-cost inkable 2/2 stat line, questing for 2. With when you play this character, you may do the most broken thing in the game and play a 2-cost character also for free. It's crazy. You can play her playing Ursula, trigger Ursula's ability, make them discard. We have plenty of 2-cost targets with this deck for Lady to take advantage of. One of the cards that is rotating out right now, I am playing 4 Rapunzel Gifted with healing, a 4-cost inkable 1/5 stat line, questing for 2. When you play this character, move up to 3 damage from target character you control, and for each damage you are going to draw a card, which is fantastic. It's one of the most brokenly statted cards in the game, in addition to being able to draw you cards, which is absolutely nuts. Definitely among the pantheon of great cards in the game, something there's no way they're going to downgrade. People are like, oh, they were downgrading in legendaries, maybe we'll see a super rare version of Rapunzel. It's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. Mark my words. I don't see it. So, you know, if you want to get around playing Rapunzel, you don't want to buy Rapunzels right now. Obviously, they're about to rotate out. Get yourself some Juliana Madrigals. They are also about to rotate out, but they're a 1/5 for 3. They heal 2 from any target, so you can do it to your opponent's character and draw a card. You don't even have to have a damaged character. You could potentially deny their Rapunzel with it a turn earlier, which is super funny. Potential way to handle it with Juliana Madrigal, but get those, replace your Rapunzels with it. You save yourself. Rapunzel's down now. You'll save yourself still over like $100 on having to put 4 Rapunzels in, and she's rotating out in a month. If she comes back around in the future, great, but I don't see her coming back in set 9. But she's a great way to draw you cards in this deck. There's a lot of good targets for her, so if you do have them, play them. Next up, jumping over to the 5-cost slot, we have 4 Lady Miss Park Avenue. This is a card that some people might argue against playing 4 of. I think this card's fantastic. She's got a really solid stat line, really solid ability. She's a 5-cost inkable 4/4 stat line, questing for 2. Solid stat line, shifts for 3, so she's going to come down in a great on curve with those 1-drop ladies. And if you aren't shifting her, playing her on turn 5 card isn't that crazy, especially with her additional ability. When you play this character, you return up to 2 character cards with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand. So she is going to get you some of your cards back and keep your board fueled nicely. I considered her or invited to the ball, and I'm like, let's just stick with the characters that are both uninkable. Lady is going to give me more selection, whereas invited to the ball may draw me higher cost characters, which could be good later in the game, but I ended up landing on Lady instead. The other card in the 5 cost slot, we have 2 Cricky Lucky Cricket, a 5 cost inkable 3/4 stat line questing for 3. With when you play this character, your other characters get +3 strength this turn. That's right, all of your other characters are going to get +3 strength this turn. So if you're flooding the board with those Nalas, those Daisy Ducks, you're flooding the board even with those Tramps going into the following turns, and some of those additional characters going into the latter turns, get down a Lady and another character. You get 4 or 5 characters out, throwing out a Cricky, and boom, you're attacking for a whole bunch. You're taking out locations, you're taking out your opponent's big characters, and it's just absolutely gross. Not to mention, if your opponent doesn't have an answer for them before you're able to exert him down the next turn, he's going to quest for 3 after that. Still a very good card. Another new card from set 8, we have 3 Tramp Dapper Rascal, a 6 cost inkable 2/8 stat line questing for 2. So he does die to Brawl, and I did predict that Brawl is going to get reprinted, so we'll see what happens with that. Maybe I'll be off base. If you haven't seen the predictions video, definitely go check that out. I've hit on a couple of them. Enchanted Hades I nailed, so if you've seen that announcement, I predicted it 2 weeks earlier, just saying. But the other ability on Tramp Dapper Rascal is during an opponent's turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, you may draw a card. So that is going to function on all of your characters, including him. So if they just straight up banish him, cool, you get to draw a card. They're gonna get through 8 willpower to banish him though, so they may be looking at taking out some of your other characters, in which case they're gonna put you in a great position to draw some additional cards and keep the board fueled nicely. Speaking of drawing and keeping the board fueled, we have the last card in the deck, another Tramp, a 7 cost inkable Tramp Street Smart Dog. I think this franchise might have the most playable cards overall. Like, there's tons of super good cards in the Lady and the Tramp franchise. I know it's new to Lorcana, but they have a ton of playable cards, more than probably any other franchise. But he's a 2/6 stat line questing for 2, and for each character you have in play, you pay 1 less to play this character. So like I mentioned, you can get 4 or 5 characters down very early in the game, and potentially be playing Tramp for 2, and when he comes into play, you're going to draw a card for every other character that you have in play, and then you do have to discard that many cards, so you don't just get to get crazy card advantage from it, but it is going to let you fix your hand pretty nicely, so you'll be able to draw in those cards that you want to keep, discard those cards that aren't going to be as good, and really be in a position where you're able to control what the deck is doing going into the late game and be able to quest your way to 20 against your opponent without them being able to do anything about it. So that is my breakdown on what the new version of Lady and the Tramp, CHERNADOG, whatever you want to call it without CHERNADOG. I don't feel like you can call it CHERNADOG. That's what my new build looks like. What are y'all's thoughts in the comments below? Do you think this is the way to go? Do you think there's cards that I should have played that I didn't play, or cards that I did play that I shouldn't have played? I always love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Prince would be more worthwhile than Jim Deere and giving up the uninkable slots to something else? Do you think Lady Miss Park Avenue is crazy to play a 4 of, or crazy to play at all? I know people weren't even running her in older versions of the deck. Let me know what you're thinking. And as always, when you see those toys, video games, and those shiny ladies putting characters into play for free off in the distance, remember, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.